So a question that I'm actually curious about, because I had never seen this painting, or I didn't know about this painting until I heard about the exhibit. I'm wondering what it was like for each of you to see the painting for the first time or to hear about it. And if you could, whoever wants to start.
Go ahead, Robert.
Well, I know, when I first, you know, saw the painting, I was amazed. I remember, somebody had sent it to me. There was a linguist friend of ours at UC Berkeley, and somebody had sent it to her and said that they wanted to know more about it. And I remember, as I was looking at it, I was just amazed on just the grandeur, I think, of inside the roundhouse itself. And then just the formation of women, that were in their regalia, full regalia. I mean, there's two, men dancers that are in the front, but I think they're overshadowed, by the women's presence. And just all the little nuances, I think, on how, the poles were set. Grapevine was used to, cinch everything together. These were stories that were told, by our elders about like how the structures were made, and to see it in a painting like that really came true to what was being passed down. And I was just in awe, just totally just taken by what was in the scene.
I think for us, we didn't know about the painting at all. I mean, we knew that Tiburcio, had been a patron and he had supported 3 artists. Absolutely no clue that any painting existed. We didn't really know which ones he had commissioned. We certainly didn't know he was in any of them. The whole irony of that was our owner of our winery actually lives not too far from that location where it's been hanging for years, and none of us knew anything about it. So the minute I found out, thanks to the museum, is we ordered a copy of it so that we could hang it actually in our tasting room. And then we've got it, so it's a talking point for us as well. So it was very interesting for us.
I love the idea that it's hanging in the winery, because for me as a historian, what I got excited about was just kind of the potential conversations that the painting has the potential to open among people who see it. You never know what people are going to take away from viewing a piece of art, but still, you can't help but be curious about what you're seeing, and hopefully the answers people get about that, or what it makes them want to find out more about, leads them in really great directions. That's important conversations for Californians and Americans to be having about what was happening out west in 1875.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what I find interesting in all of our tastings at the winery, what people tend to be the most fascinated by is history. They want to hear the stories of what was there, before. And so throughout all of our tastings, and especially our elevated tastings, we do a lot of reminiscing about history, not just Tiburcio, but the entire property through time, and we have some displays as well within our cave system of some of the artifacts.
So that kind of leads us really nicely into what I think might be our last question, because time is just flying.
Oh, wow.
And that is, how would each of you suggest people learn more about the time period, either, what's happening inside the picture or what's happening in the world outside the frame at that time?
Wow, I guess I'll go first since you did last time. It's a huge challenge, I think, actually, because we've been doing that ourselves at the winery, trying to discover the history, and understand the thought process of people at that time, and so everything we've done, thank God for Google. That's not a product placement, but thank God. And then what's amazing to us as well is the people who come forward with pictures, who've come forward with like this painting that we knew nothing about. But the other challenge for us is the minute we think we understand what's going on, we find out something else and completely rewrites everything for us. So I would just say, for me, I'm passionate about history. You know that, Barbara. Mm-hmm. So I love to read and research and just find out more and visit sites or learn more about the cultures and the people involved.
Terrific.
Yeah,
Robert?
Yeah, I think, myself, I think coming from, the natives perspective is, usually the history only kind of tells one side. And so, I think with this painting, it tells you can kind of pick apart both sides. There's some people that are kind of like scowling at some of the, the people that are the non-natives that are in the picture. And it's, I guess for myself, like I can relate, because, it was really, a time where we really didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, I think through ceremony, and what was happening at, first contact in Lake County was 1833. So that's not too far off, when this was done. You're looking at around 40 years. But, I think within the native communities, the question was, are we going to be here for much longer? And so ceremonies were trying to make that happen. The relationships that were trying to be established, I think, with, a lot of the new settlers was trying to make that happen. And so there was like a lot of uncertainty, for the future. I think for the native community, it's like, where do we fit in here? And just, really, kind of with a lot of fear. We had a lot of fear.
Yeah. Does anybody have it? We've got about 2 minutes left. Those were great answers. I'll just mention that on the exhibit website, there's a list of really great books that can be read on various pieces of the history, kind of from varying different perspectives that the painting brings out. But I'm just wondering if either of you have any parting words, final thoughts you want to share with the audience.
Your turn, Robert.
Like I said, I think that the painting tells two stories, and I think really that kind of hits on exactly, I think where we're at today is that, there's got to be transparency, I think, with, the outside community and, within the native community, to really understand each other and know, where we're coming from. And so I think this, like I said, the painting really does it justice, I think, of the time, within, the time period that, was going on. But I think now it kind of strikes up conversation about where do we go from there, right? Where are we at today? And so I think to better understand each other, to better know each other, to really get, the full stories of history in order to know what the history was, I think it's important. And, we can do that as everyone together, putting it all together for, that our next generation to really come from a point that, has all the information instead of just, certain parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's hard to follow up, man. Thanks. I'll actually say 100% I agree with what he's saying. And what's interesting is, there is a challenge to learning because there's going to be a lot more documentation, from, he who writes history. The challenge is going to be having that open heart, that open mind, and willingness to actually listen to each other, because you don't want to forget the past, and it's done too easily. We can grow and we can be better if we know it. Mm-hmm. That's sort of my take on
it. Well, those are wonderful final takeaways. I mean, I'll kind of reiterate what I said at the beginning, is that everything you both said, and then, my hope is that it will just, get people thinking, get people curious about what was going on in 1875, mining, manifest destiny, the repercussions of the conquest of the West, and to get that to see that this connects to our present, that this is a historic story but that it has incredible legacies for today and people living today. So that's my hope of what we get out of this exhibit, and beyond that, the painting that will hang in the winery for the foreseeable future, which I think is just terrific, really wonderful. So so I think that's it for us. I'll just extend my thanks to our audience who has watched either some part or all of our presentation, and to go out and enjoy the exhibit when it opens, and continue to think critically about art and life. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Barbara, Keith, Robert, and Joseph for your insightful presentations. We cannot thank you enough. Jules Tavernier and the El Pomo exhibition will be on view at the De Young beginning this Saturday, December 18th. We hope to see you this Saturday for a big opening day celebration. To learn more about the exhibition and our upcoming programming, please check out our website and book your tickets in advance at tickets.famsf.org, tickets.famsf.org. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.